Hello, welcome to AI in Action. My name is Maurie, and I'm here with my husband Jim, and we are here talking about artificial intelligence. We have a guest on the podcast today. His name is Alon Yamin. And Alon, I would love it if you would take just a minute to kind of introduce yourself to our audience, and then we're going to just jump right in and we're going to start just like drilling you with questions.
Perfect. Sounds good. Thanks for having me, Maurie and Jim, and great to be here. My name is Alon Yamin. I'm the CEO, co-founder of Copyleaks. My background is in technology. I used to do a lot of work in text analysis, text authentication, and content authentication as a whole, as a developer back in the day. That's what led me really to creating Copyleaks. We started really from content authentication that is a bit more sophisticated. You wanted to make sure that we ourselves are able to, our algorithms are able to understand the text, the meaning, the ideas that are being discussed. And then there are, endless things and use cases and capabilities that you can develop based on that. And of course, fast forward, generative AI, there is more content than ever before, more demand to authenticate content and understand what it is that you're consuming and reading. So we're doing a lot around AI detection, AI governance, and just making sure that you have visibility and understanding, where AI exists, what it is that you're reading or consuming or coding or anything else that you're doing around content with, connection to AI.
Okay, so the first thing I want to jump on is the fact that you said back in the day. So, we are on a video right here, and I can tell that you are a lot younger than we are. So, when you say back in the day, what time frame are you talking about?
So when I was a developer and I started working with a lot of this text analysis technology, that started at around probably 2006, 2007.
All right. I just wanted to verify that you are a baby compared to us. We're the old folks in the room. We were around when the World Wide Web was invented, basically. So we've been around for a long time. So all right, I want to jump in real quick with the first question that we have for you. So when we were kind of reading your bio and everything, it really sounds like you have an interesting past. Things like working for the Israeli Intelligence Corps and stuff like that. So, what can you tell us, or is all this stuff top secret? Tell us a little bit about
Classified.
that. It's all classified. Yeah.
Yeah, I would have loved to, share a lot about what I've done back then. Unfortunately, if I'll say it, I have to, kill you and everyone involved.
That's hilarious. I just thought it was interesting when we were reading about your past. So your LinkedIn bio does say that you started Copyleaks in 2015. So when it first started, what was the intention behind it? I mean, was it just something that you were like, sitting in your living room one day and went, "Oh, I think I'm going to do this." Why 2015? What was the turning point?
Yeah, it's interesting. You said when I said back in the day, and when you're thinking about it, it's not too long ago, but in AI years, it's like
Yeah, it's
ages
like
ago. Everything was
exactly.
so fast with AI, and the technology back then was completely different. So when we started, what we've seen, me and my co-founder, was that content is everywhere around the web. And it's getting very hard to kind of like keep tabs and understanding what's the distribution of your own content, where it's being used, by who, in what capacity, is it approved used, is it not. And what happened was my co-founder, actually, they have a family business. And he, since he was like 12, was developing the website for the family business. And he was uploading tons of content there to make sure that they're staying high up in terms of search engine optimization, SEO. And then one day, he saw that he was really deteriorating in the Google ranking, and he couldn't figure out why. And he looked into it, and he saw that some of his competitors actually plagiarized his materials, the articles on the website, and you basically get penalized back then by Google if you have content that is not fully original or that is been used in other websites that may potentially be stronger than your own website. So that was kind of like our starting point. We were trying to look for solutions, websites that are able to track content, but not just a one-to-one type of copy-paste type of similarity, but really even if the content is fully paraphrased, yet we're seeing that there are similarities in terms of the sentence structure, the meaning, the style of writing. And even more than that, what happened was the content was in Hebrew, and some website even translated it to other languages, yet it was very clear that it was the same content. So we wanted to create something here that is able to give you an understanding whether or not content is actually original, whether or not content is created by whoever says it created the content, and identify similarities in a whole different level. So even if the content is paraphrased or translated to other languages, still be able to identify these similarities. It started more from like a plagiarism, copyright infringement detection type of a use case. And then from there, obviously, a lot of things that's happened since, especially with AI. So we, continue to other areas as well.
Well,
So
that makes a
how did
lot. Sorry,
I
go
got a
ahead,
quick
Jim.
question. So how did what you do help you with your problem? I mean, if somebody's plagiarizing your stuff and it's killing your SEO and you're able to identify that they plagiarized it, I don't understand how that helps you solve your problem, though. Did Google accept the fact that it was being plagiarized, and did it help you? Did you go protest to Google? I'm just curious.
Yeah, so usually the next step would be submitting a DMCA takedown, basically telling Google or other search engines, hey, this website copied my content. Here is my content that was published in, that date. And then if they go and are able to confirm it, they will take the content off of the other website from their search engine. So that's a very common
Yeah.
kind of practice
Did
on.
it work?
Yeah, it definitely worked. We just was a
Cool.
manual process, and what we wanted to do was to make sure that it's automated and scalable. In the
Hmm.
end, you can't, go through your entire website. And this was a very small kind of like family business website with a few hundreds of pages. What happens to a business that has, hundreds of thousands or even millions of pages? So the idea was to really kind of like have something here that is a bit more scalable and automated.
So it makes a lot more sense now as to where you came up with the name Copyleaks, because your copyrights and things like that, and where is it leaking into other areas where it should not be. So it makes a lot more sense to me now as to where you came up with your company name. Back in the day, I was a photographer. And so I would have images that were, copywritten, and several times I would find people that, as soon as you send them the proofs, they get rid of the watermark, and then all of a sudden it's on their websites, and it's, so absolutely I can see how I would have liked to have been able to, like, there's an image, I took that image, now you go out and detect where it's showing up on the internet, and therefore I could protect myself from getting stuff like that taken. So yeah, that was a great idea. I think you guys were at the right place at the right time.
Hmm.
So when ChatGPT did come out, what was the first thing that you thought about when OpenAI and all the other big large language models were released? What was the first thing you thought?
I was like, wow, this is like a whole new market, a whole like new needs, new solutions that we need to develop, because it's not enough to say that content is original or plagiarism free, because it could be fully original yet created by AI, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we understood that there is going to be completely new questions to be asked, completely new challenges that we'll need to tackle. But luckily for us, we were thinking how our existing solutions, our existing technology that, when ChatGPT came out, we've been in the market for years already, a lot of data, a lot of understanding as to how humans are writing. So basically the models that we developed on the plagiarism side, what we've done there was really getting to know very well how humans are writing in a different way. So after a while, when you're submitting content for our system, we'll be able to say, okay, does this sound like something that Jim wrote, or is this something that Alon wrote? Each one of us has kind of like their own tone, their own individual, way of writing. So we use those capabilities for the plagiarism side. But then when ChatGPT came out, it was kind of like this aha moment where let's see if we're able to identify the unique voice, if you will, of large language models. So how does GPT sounds like versus Gemini versus a human writer? And what we've discovered was that it's working in a very accurate way. Each one of these large language model has their own kind of like unique style of writing that are models that, again, we trained over the course of years to identify human content. Those models work very well also in identifying this kind of like unique style of writing or way of writing of large language models. So this allowed us really 2 weeks after ChatGPT came out, this was end of 2022, we already released our AI content detector, which does exactly what it sounds like it's doing, detecting whether or not content is created by AI or created by a human creator. We started just with text, with textual content, and then we expanded also to code. So identifying whether code is created by AI or by a human creator. And what we've found even more relevant is that the focus that we had before around copyright, plagiarism detection is more relevant than ever before, because AI basically creates content based on existing materials. So a lot of the content that you're reading, consuming, that is an output of a large language model has actually been used before somewhere. That's the training content. It could be from Wikipedia, or if it's coded, it could be from GitHub or from New York Times or publications out there. In a lot of the times, content that we're getting straight from an LLM, we can tell you, okay, it actually came from this Wikipedia page, or this piece of code actually came from this GitHub repository. So we were able to kind of like combine the AI detection with the copyright and plagiarism detection, and then provide some visibility around generative AI. You finally can identify where AI content exists, and also mitigate some copyrights and plagiarism risks that are coming with it. A lot of the time, you don't even realize that if you're creating a piece of code using an LLM, this piece of code could be actually under a license that says maybe you're not allowed to use it in a commercial setting, or that you're not allowed to use it if you're changing any piece of code. So we're able to kind of like have some transparency around the content that is created with AI. With the goal in the end that, we want people to use AI. It's an amazing technology, tons of benefits, but we want them to use it in a way where there is transparency around it, and there is a way to mitigate copyrights and IP risks that are connected to it.
Are you concerned about your data set that you're using to determine whether or not the data something is copied becoming polluted with AI material? I mean, you said specifically that you're using sort of a signature that you're getting from these different large language models, because as the language models ingest data that was generated by AI, and your algorithms are using that as a signature, eventually doesn't it kind of flood your algorithm with so much junk that the accuracy gets lost in the noise?
Yeah, so this is an interesting point. It's actually one of the services that we provide now for LLM companies that are developing LLMs. It's a serious challenge knowing that the content that you're using to train your models is actually optimized. You want to make sure that you don't have AI content there. You want to make sure that you're using high quality human content. Otherwise, you could get to a point where the models that you're creating are in a very low quality. So what we've done ourselves, again, this is all based on models that have been training for years only on human content. So we've become kind of like experts on how humans are writing. We have a lot of data there that we have both historically and collecting all the time. And we're making sure that when we retraining model, and there is always a retraining process here, because new models are always coming out. You can have new models, you have new versions of existing models, so you're always retraining models. You want to make sure that you're staying up to date, but that's definitely something that we're keeping in mind, as well as offering as a service to others to make sure that then when they're training their models, they're optimizing the data set and the training materials they're using.
Sorry, I think I got off your question list, Maurie. Sorry.
No, that's okay. We're only halfway in, and I knew that 6 questions were not going to be enough. I didn't want to take up the whole half hour just asking questions, because I'm going to pivot real quick, and let's talk about K-12 education. Okay. I don't know if you looked into some of my background, but one of the things that I am is I'm a counselor. I was a teacher for a long time, and then I became a counselor and an assistant principal. So I've been in K-12 for, oh goodness, 17 years. I have firsthand experience of students that I know personally that have written content and turned it into a dual credits course and been accused of plagiarism because of an AI detection tool. Okay. And one specific girl I'm thinking about was just devastated. I mean, she wrote, not only did she write it herself, she wrote it in class with teacher supervision. And it was personal stories about her grandfather and the ranch that they own. But it came back as like 90% AI generated. And the
It wasn't
professor gave,
yours, by the way. It wasn't your
no, no,
detector. If
no,
you
it
wanted to.
was not your detector. So the professor gave her a 0 on it. And, for a college dual credit course, this is devastating, especially since she's probably going to be the valedictorian of our school system. How do you address that? I mean, do we
False
go in and,
positives.
yeah, false positives. How do you guys have a way that y'all address that? Do y'all have like a suggestion on how you're telling teachers to use your products?
Yeah, definitely. It's a very interesting point. I think like any powerful technology, nothing is 100%. You're always aspiring to get to the 100%. You're always at the 99.9 something. You have an antivirus installed. You're not 100% protected. Similarly to this type of a technology. But here, like the example that you gave, we're dealing with people's day-to-day life. You want to make sure
Mm-hmm.
that you're not making this kind of like false claims. Um, I think what we've done to address it, again, we're understanding how important it is. We understand also how new AI is for everyone, especially in the education space where things were kind of like done in a certain way for years. And now there is this suddenly new wave of technology that is changing a lot, both, by the way, from the faculty and the student side. And there are amazing things that you can do with it, but of course, you have the dark sides of it, both in terms of cheating as well as false positives, etc., etc. I think what we've done to address it, first of all, obviously aspiring for as high accuracy as possible and retraining the models and making sure that we're staying in the forefront of like AI detection accuracy to avoid as much as we can those false positives. But we thought that that's not even enough. So what we've actually released a few months ago is what we call AI Insights. What we want is that people will use our tool as a learning tool, not as a policing tool. In the end, AI is new for everyone. Students should use our tool in order to authenticate themselves. Everyone is using other sources when they are, writing assignment, working on research. If it's Google or if it's ChatGPT, even by mistake, you can forget to quote something or change something enough to make it your own. So we are pushing the institutions that we're working with to offer our tools not just to the faculty, but also to the students themselves as a learning tool. But the AI insights, what it lets you is kind of like it sheds light on this black box of our AI. So Copyleaks itself is also an AI company where, we're basically on the plagiarism side saying it comes from XYZ sources. So it's very clear. But on the AI side, it's kind of like black and white. Was it created by AI? Was it created by a human? And there is nothing else. And what we wanted to make sure is that we're providing and shedding some light on this black box, providing some extra information. So we released AI Insights. And what that lets you know is why our models believe that this content is created by AI. And we released the first version, and a lot of the academic institutions we're working with are now using it. And the first version gives you only one factor. We're going to release more and more of these factors, but our models, the way they worked is that they look at hundreds of factors within a text that signals us that signals our models that this is something that is created by AI. So you can think of like a average length of a sentence. You can think of like how often you use punctuations and all these different kind of like factors that we're looking at. So with the first version of AI Insight, what we released was basically the ability to understand what phrases were used in the text that signals our model that this text is created by AI. We created a data set that includes phrases that are very commonly used by AI models. And again, AI models are writing in a certain way. They are writing in a specific pattern that we're able to identify. And then we're able to say that if, for example, you're using this specific phrase, this phrase appears 1,000 times more often in AI text versus human text. Now, if you have this sentence and this sentence and the other sentence, and all of them, we're seeing that it comes with such a high frequency of that appears in such high frequency in AI content, we're able to kind of like connect the dots and provide some more background as to why something we believe created by AI. This is, of course, just step one. We're planning on releasing more and more of these versions and basically provide more visibility as to why something is categorized as AI versus human content. So this is definitely ongoing, and I think it's a confidence issue. I think, if you want to be able to use AI, you need to be able to have confidence in the ability of detecting it. And that's really what we're aspiring to get to. You need to be able to trust AI. You need to be able to have confidence in AI. And in order to get that, you need to have visibility and transparency around it. So that's really our mission.
I think
So
that's great. Okay, go ahead, Jim.
I did have a question. I actually contacted early on because I started playing with all of these detectors, including yours, as soon as they came out. And I didn't find them particularly difficult at the time to beat, though they've gotten harder now. But I was curious because one of the things I contacted a company about that was somewhat tangentially related was for school districts specifically. Have you ever thought about offering us a tool? We teach a process. We tell teachers cheating is cheating. It always has been. And the way teachers typically, they don't articulate it, but they have a series of steps they follow. They just don't realize they're doing it subconsciously before they accuse someone of plagiarism. The tool that you're like yours is just one step in a 5-step process. Getting to know your student, getting to know their writing style, yada, yada, yada. Have you ever thought about releasing something like you were talking about, except I asked one of the companies that does signature analysis, could you offer the teachers a tool where it help them get to know their students' writing? In other words, the students always submit, what does Maurie call them, beginning of the year boy work, beginning of the
Right.
year work. If a teacher had a tool like that where they could show the student not only what you just said, but also help them get to know the writing style in a new and more informed way when they got to the point where they were using that detector, it might also be a better way for them to say, I know your writing style, the tool knows your writing style because it's learned your writing style, and I'm telling you this isn't your writing style.
Yeah.
That was just a way, because we need the tools and we can't afford to buy all of them because we're not a big school district.
Right.
But we need these kind of tools in order to prepare the kids from a digital literacy perspective on how to make their writing style more unique, but we also need a way of training the teachers, and that would be a good training tool. Just a
Right.
thought.
To me, it would be something that would be awesome, specifically in K-12 education. Whenever we do go out and do all the trainings and stuff that we do, I mean, we do K-12 and university trainings on how to utilize artificial intelligence. And we're always telling the professors, basically you guys are in trouble because you don't know your kids. I mean, I can be a professor with, 1,000 students. I'm not going to have an opportunity to get to know my kids' writing styles. So if we could take that educational component and take it back into our high school level, our junior high level, when kids are starting to develop their own styles of writing, and have them develop it with an AI assistant saying, hey, I know you want to use the word swag or whatever the popular word is right now, but guess what? Everybody uses that word now. The AI is going to flag that, and kind of like educate the kids on how to maintain their own voice. That would be amazing. Eh,
We'll pilot that for you, by the way, if you want to
Yeah,
get that for us. We
absolutely.
have no money,
Absolutely.
so we can't pay you anything, but we will
Send me a
pilot that
copy.
we'll
S-
pilot it at our school district.
To hire you to my product department, I think.
I,
We have actually, it's very interesting that you're bringing it up because we are releasing what we call AI assessment and feedback. And what it does, and this is something that we're going to start with in the education side, but it can be relevant for a lot of other markets and areas as well. We're basically taking all of our AI capabilities that we developed over the years, all of the different models that are, able to understand subjects and style of writing and sources and citations, etc. Bring it to one place with the idea of, on the student side, provide feedback. So as you're working on, writing an assignment or working on your homework, we can provide live feedback as to, like, we think you should, use more sources, verify this information, quote in a different way.
Don't use the word dive.
Exactly.
Because,
There's certain
oh,
words that we see come up a lot.
Exactly. So that's going to be on the student side. So a tool to help in the learning process, and on the assessment side, a tool to help the faculty or the teachers in assessment. How to do it in a way where you're taking AI into an account. Do it in a scalable way, faster way, where a lot of the groundwork is already done for you, so the teacher can just focus on kind of like the high level aspects. So that's exactly what we're focusing on now in the education space, with the understanding that there's got to be more and more solutions, more tools that are leveraging AI to help in the learning process, and not just to
mhm.
police or detect or etc. It's gotta work together. So that's definitely a direction, and it's going to be out very, very soon. So I'll definitely share it with you guys, and make sure you're trying it be one of the first ones trying it.
Well, we're always in it. We're pretty strong K-12 advocates because I've been in education for 20 years, and Maury nearly has too. And I'm the engineer, she's the educator in the group, but I still am an IT director, and we're always looking for these tools. Unfortunately, we're seeing kind of a bifurcation in the direction that AIs are going in schools. It's either it's bad and we don't ever want to see it, or we're going to replace teachers with it. And we literally stay right in the middle of that. And we say teachers with better tools, good teachers with good tools become better teachers. So we're trying to provide those tools, but you have to balance cost and privacy. Like in the case of what I mentioned earlier, where it gets to know the kid's learning style. That sounds great, but I can't uniquely identify that kid to that. I have to have some way of obfuscating the kid's true identity where only the teacher knows it. Otherwise, I'm violating the federal laws on privacy for students. So there's a balance that we have to walk in there, and it's a difficult one, but we're always looking for new and interesting tools out there. We speak at a lot of conferences and stuff, and we demo tools all over the United States to different teachers and stuff. And so we're trying very hard to find the right ones. And I have not been a fan so far of I don't like plagiarism detectors in general because of false positives. So as long as I keep the teacher in the loop, then the odds of those false positives become lower because the teacher has other mitigating factors. Colleges, however, love a single tool because, as Maury said earlier, they have 1,000 kids. They're not going to get to know them personally. So they're at a disadvantage when it comes to that personalization, which makes them, in my mind, more replaceable by an AI tool because they don't
Yeah.
have that personalization. But anyway, I'm sorry. I got us off our questions.
No, it's
Um,
fine. It's fine, Jim. Yeah, one of the things we're still kind of on question 5 here because, as we said, one of the things that we like to do is we like to teach a process. And so when I was sitting in an administrative chair on a campus as a principal, if my teacher came to me and said, little Johnny cheated, I always was like, okay, you need your ducks in a row before I make that phone call to that parent. So if they just came to me with, hey, here's the report from the AI detection, it says it's, 100%, I would be like, no, this is not enough to stand on because of all of the news out there about all of the false positives. I knew that, a parent would immediately say, no, I don't believe it. Little Johnny would never cheat, because they're always going to protect their child. So it's one of those processes. And I think when Jim and I train on it, it's like the AI detection tool is like number 5 or number 6 in the process. Do we want them to use AI detection tools? Absolutely. It gives them more ammunition, for lack of a better word, when it comes to me disciplining the student. So absolutely, we believe in the AI detection tools. We just believe that it's not just a single source. Um,
so So how do you see, I think what Mari's leading to is where do you go from here? I mean, you've talked about your product roadmap to some degree, but as AI gets into everything, I mean, Grammarly's got AI detection stuff and everybody, and they're always bugging me. I get pop-ups because I made the mistake of signing up for it. How do you see your tool evolving to handle the fact that everything has AI in it and it's so hard to differentiate who generated what?
I think, because AI is going to be everywhere, or it is already in a certain extent around us everywhere, but it's going to be more and more. There's going to be even more of a need for tools that are able in an accurate way identify AI from human. And I think what you mentioned around the false positives, that's exactly where where we're trying to focus now with what I mentioned with AI insights. So to provide an understanding as to why something is categorizing in a specific way, not in a black and white way, but just kind of like providing an explanation. And I think that's exactly what's missing in order to create this confidence both in the R technology and in AI detectors or plagiarism detectors, as well as confidence in AI content and using AI in a safe way. So I think as we're looking at the future, our main mission is providing confidence in content. This could be AI content, human content. No one knows what is this content that we're reading or getting access to, etc. But once we're getting this content, we want to be able to authenticate it. Make sure that you're able to know the source, make sure you're able to know the distribution, make sure that you know if it was used before, and if it was it in a place that is reputable, that you can trust, etc. I think we're getting more and more to a state in the world where almost no one trusts nothing, especially with our goal.
That's an accurate statement. I do like the idea of you removing the detector from an adversarial role to a consultative role. I think Maury and I both would agree with you that we have difficulty every time we do a training. Always have what we call hostiles in the group. They're people that are, you can tell by their body language. Well, Maury can. I don't read body language very well, but you can tell by their body language that they hate AI and they hate everything it represents. And they're usually going to come up to me afterward to explain to me why AI is the devil incarnate. And so we tend to think that adversarial attitude toward it is not productive unless you assume that that you can be adversarial enough that it's going to go away. And I don't think it's going to go away because some teacher is irritated about it. Therefore, moving it from adversarial to consultative is certainly a good approach, we think. I mean, do you agree with that, Maury?
Oh, absolutely. I would love to be able to have my students. I'm sitting here. Okay, I'm going to give you product roadmap here. I'm sitting here. I'll send you my bill. I'll send you my bill later.
Yes.
I'm sitting here envisioning a teacher putting their students on a Google document and having the Google document be attached via Copyleaks, to where as my students are writing, the Copyleaks is literally observing what they're writing and giving them like a little flag over to the side saying, you sounded a little AI-ish, just to kind of help the student know that they might be kind of getting off in the weeds. Maybe they're using words that are detected too often
Generic.
as an AI. Yeah, they're being too generic. They're not being specific enough. So I would love to almost have like a AI writing assistant to ensure that I am not sounding like an AI
Or like
as
my
I
neighbor.
am typing it in right then, like real time,
Yeah.
that would be awesome.
I think that's exactly where the market is headed. I shared about our AI feedback and assistance. It will be exactly that, and that will be out actually in a few weeks, so you'll be able to experience it very soon. I think the goal is, when we started working with when we worked with academic institutions, when ChatGPT just came out, like late 2022. We've heard so many academic institutions that said, AI is not allowed here, we're banning it, etc.
They still say it.
They still say it.
I think less and less, we're having a lot of conversation where there is already an understanding that, like it or not, people will use AI. So now, okay, with that understanding, how are we making sure that we're using AI in a productive way, while again still understanding that there are risks and we have to mitigate them somehow. So I think really using AI also to help. It's kind of like AI against AI in a way. So using AI technology to make sure that you're able to use AI in a productive way in the learning process, leverage it, have all the amazing benefits in terms of research and sourcing, etc., etc. I think that would be an important part of it. But you can only use it if you can mitigate the risks that are coming with it. And that's kind of like where we're trying to focus on. So providing on both solutions. One, how AI can help you in learning and providing assistance and feedback and assessment and all of these great things. But on the other side, you'll still need to have detection. And by the way, plagiarism detection is unlike AI detection, there is not a yes or maybe, or you're able to show the source. And the beauty is that AI, whenever there is AI detection, in a lot of the cases, you have also plagiarism cases as well, because AI plagiarizes itself. So you're able to show a clear cut, kind of like, you said you created it yourself, but if this paragraph came from Wikipedia, then, it's questionable. So I think that's kind of like the direction we're headed to. And in the end, we believe AI is amazing, and there are so many great things you can do with it, as long as you do it in a safe, responsible way, while understanding the risks that are coming with it.
Absolutely. Well, we are out of time. We're actually just a little bit over. So I would like to say thank you guys very much for listening in. Alon, thank you very much for being on AI in Action. My name is Maurie, and I'm here with my husband, Jim, and we talk about artificial intelligence every single Sunday evening so that Jim can not talk to me about AI 24/7. So I hope that you guys have a marvelous rest of the week. Don't forget, you can go find us on all of the platforms out there and make sure you subscribe. And we also now have YouTube, so please make sure that you go follow us on our YouTube channel.